Every voice listen to the heaven. When will the that I rejoice in let you
Welcome on into the NY2MD podcast. Kevin Hurt, Brian Sherrard, special guest Dr. Arscott here. Well, it's a different way to start the show today. We normally wouldn't play that, even though maybe we should play that when we come into the show. But we got word this week that the NFL has decided to play whatever version they're going to play of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, before the start of their games. So we usually don't start the show off this way, but as we know, it's a different time for all of us. So first, B, to me, what do you think, man? How do you feel about this?
I think it's a great idea. Why not? The NFL, I think they have come to their senses a little bit when it comes to the issue of racial injustice and players having an open platform to do silent protests and to speak out. So, a lot of the coaches and owners and players have mentioned, they got behind Black Lives Matter. Commissioner Goodell, he said Black Lives Matter. So you know what? They're going to start playing a Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. I don't see a problem with it, but unfortunately, there's some that do. So,
yeah, I'm one of them. Because it's one of those things where playing the anthem, okay, great, but what does that really do? What does that really change? Right? I don't really watch the football. I used to watch it here and there, but from my understanding, looking at football teams, like there's a disparity in terms of like ownership, the coaches, who's in leadership positions. Yeah, you have a lot of players that are Black, but then what about the representation above that? So playing the Black National Anthem is like, okay, so you're gonna play it the first week, and then what? It's like the symbol of like, we take Aunt Jemima off the pancake bottle, which people asked for like decades ago. Nothing happened. All of a sudden now it's like, let me do something that's visible, but like what's really tangible and sustainable over time? Let's change an institution to have like a real social justice change for the long term. And then like a lot of people mentioned too, which I agree, is like kind of like Juneteenth and the Black National Anthem. Companies were giving people off for Juneteenth, this and the other. It was like almost like it's becoming commercialized. So something that the Black community held because they had their own anthem, but they didn't feel like they were part of America because different, especially during the civil rights movement and before Jim Crow era, kind of something to kind of unify, get a sense of pride, inspirational. Now it's going to put on a national stage, and for what? There was never a consideration before. It's almost like a publicity stunt to say like, hey, look, we're doing something that is sacred to you, so we're going to put it on a national stage, but it's really not moving anything.
Well, okay, I agree with you with that. I mean, it's not moving anything, but you know what? It's an acknowledgement and it's giving us a voice. You're right. This is a trend right now. But you know what? It's a trend I am welcoming, because this should, these things should have been recognized, should have been in the mainstream, so to say, a long time ago. So I'm all for it. If it takes, I'm just of the mindset of the opinion. Look, if it takes these type of publicity stunts or whatever to let our voices be heard and put things on the forefront, I'm all for it. But I also agree, yeah, more has to be done. Another thing is, during NFL games, you know how many songs get played? Like, they play so many.
It's hip hop songs.
Yeah, hip-hop,
NBA game, well, especially NBA games. Right. Yeah, it's always.
I mean, they play songs during games anyway. They just add in "Lift Every Voice and Sing" before the national anthem. I don't have a problem with that. So much other music's played, so you could play "Lift Every Voice and Sing." We sing "God Bless America." You know what I'm saying? We start doing that after 9/11, which is fine. I think people are getting carried away like, oh, it's the Black National Anthem. And see, I'm not looking at it like I'm not looking at it like that. I'm just looking at it as, hey, this is a song that we recognize as the Black National Anthem. That's been termed that, and we're gonna, they're gonna play it before games. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't. But of course, this is, I guess this is causing just more racial division, I guess.
I don't think, and which I mean, I understand where you're coming from. The thing is, the racial division has always been here.
Mm-hmm.
It's exacerbated not by this or this movement. It's usually exacerbated by the top and works its way down from there. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's something that none of us can control. It's just who you put in power and the messages they receive, and the people feel emboldened by it.
Right.
And remember, just a couple, 4 years ago, oh, you can't kneel, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oh, those SOBs, blah, blah, blah. We went from there to Roger Goodell not even really getting owners' permission. Like, he really just went out on his own and did his little video about, Black Lives Matter and we're with you guys. And I'm like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Right. But he didn't, he got like 2 or 3 owners together and say, hey, I'm going to do. He just basically said, this is what I'm going to do. He didn't get like the vote of the 32 people there, which you usually have to do to get anything done in almost any sport. And he decided to do this. And then they're going to play the Black National Anthem before game. I'm fine with that, because it's about time that we're recognized for who we are, what we do, mm-hmm. in the place that we're all born in. And we're all from. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and also when you come out and say, hey, we want to recognize social injustice, we're gonna partner with. Well, I shouldn't say partner with, but if he comes out and says Black Lives Matter. All right, well now we're gonna hold you to that. Now we can hold you to that. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why I don't mind. But I get your point too, Joyell. I get your point too.
Yeah. And for me, I play to both sides in the sense where I'm all for the symbols, because some people, the symbolism gives some people a sense of, okay, they're doing this, like painting all the Black Lives Matter across cities across the United States, renaming Pennsylvania Avenue to like Black Lives Matter Way. Then I saw in Brooklyn, they have a huge mural on the street with all the names of the people that were murdered by cops. Mm-hmm. So some of these symbols for people, they feel like a little bit more empowered. Like, yes, there's something visual versus me just saying it. Like there's something there, a city allowed this to happen. An institution allowed these symbols to acknowledge Black lives, to acknowledge the struggle, to acknowledge social justice movements going on right now. Even though I'm like, Aunt Jemima could have stayed in the bottle at this point in time, because we called for it before, and Uncle Ben, the same thing. I don't eat Aunt Jemima's anyways, high fructose corn syrup, but they have it, right? So I really don't care. It's not changing anything. It's not changing like whether or not I pay more taxes or get paid less or more in the grand scheme of things. But I appreciate these things because they're symbols where there are some people who would never think about these things and the impact it has on the Black community to have these symbols out there, or the lack of, to say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, why is that there? Wait, how come this was never changed before? And looking up the history of these things, saying, even Black people, like, I didn't know the history of some of these symbols and why they're there and why they persisted all these years. However, like I said, it's a trend, right? And with all trends, things die down when you have less eyes on you, less momentum around it. So it's like, okay, yeah, National Black Anthem. And I get what you're saying, there's a lot of songs played, but not a lot of songs have historic symbolism to it. You're playing like The Baby, who I love, is not the same as a National Black Anthem that was written in 1900.
So different.
Like the symbol
baby
around it. NAACP, I think the president, I can't remember what role he had. He wrote the poem as part of like Black liberation and empowerment. So there's a symbolism behind that song. It's not just any song that was written the other day by like, Uzi Vert. It's like, no, this is history to it. And I think the first time this song was on Lincoln's birthday, which we know why they would do that, right? So there's power to that. There's a reason why it's only sung on certain occasions in the Black community. People don't just walk around singing that song. It's not broadcast and put on CDs and on every playlist out there. There's a reason to it. Just like the National Anthem, you don't hear it played anywhere. It's on certain places. People might sing it just for the fun of it, but it's played in a certain place, a certain time to give it a certain elevation. So the same thing. So if you're going to do that, if they did some other things too, to say we're going to look at our hiring practice, we're going to look at our evaluation practice, we're going to look at how we evaluate coaches of different, well, there's really no different ethnic groups, it's like white or black in the NBA, and why don't we have other ethnicities? Then I can put more like stock behind. Okay, so this is one of the things they're doing, but just play a song is like, I need some meat, because this is kind of like getting a little appetizer, little poo-poo platters to go around. You do mushroom stuff. Mushroom tastes great. Your belly's still growling. You need something of substance.
Well, I will say you bring up a good point as far as when the song's played and the just bringing more importance to it. I will say you mentioned like hiring practices. I will say the NFL. I don't want to say they're in the forefront, but they are actively trying to improve having diverse coaches, managers, head coaches. They have been really actively trying to correct that problem. So much so that they try to come up with a solution to incentivize draft picks in order to get more black coaches hired, which I really disagree with.
But they're the ones that invented the Rooney Rule in the first place.
Right.
Because there wasn't enough minorities even being interviewed for positions.
Exactly. And I'm all for. I'm still all for the Rooney Rule because it puts qualified coaches of color, gets them in the room. Like Mike Tomlin, he was not supposed to get that Pittsburgh Steelers job, but once he got in the room, he blew them away, and he's still coaching. So I'm all for the Rooney Rule. I'm glad they're tweaking it, but I just wanted to point out the NFL is actively trying to make changes to get minorities in higher positions in the NFL.
It's just I just think that because we have the NBA who is so for their athletes, or that allow their athletes to be able to come out and wear "I Can't Breathe" T-shirts, to come out because they wore that for Eric Garner. To come out and have a voice for LeBron, for D Wade, for all the people in the NBA to come out and actually say something, because they're actually going to have Black Lives Matter painted on the courts.
Oh wow!
When their season starts.
But you bring up a good point. The NBA, they've been, like you said, their players are very outspoken in the public eye, but yet you don't see any decreases in attendance or ratings or anything like that. So what's the difference between basketball and football?
Somebody's got an answer for you.
Basketball and football fans, I should say, because it's really the same demographic.
Colin Kaepernick. I mean, like, just look at that. He kneeled. People in the NFL, like team members, teammates, or like, why are you doing that? This and all this pushback, all the backlash from fans in general. Then next, he got let go. People making an argument, well, he was not that great anyway. Whatever the case is, and then he had a lawsuit. Then he settled behind the scenes, and everyone mentioned, even though Goodell made a statement based on what the player said, Colin Kaepernick was not mentioned anywhere in it. Like, we wronged him. Like something with meat that we can hold on to say, okay, so you're acknowledging this. So kind of dance it around the obvious things. And a lot of people don't watch NFL. Like Adrian doesn't watch the NFL. He loves the NFL. He doesn't watch it. He's like, yo, how are we out there putting our lives on the line? Players, it's a really rough sport. Traumatic brain injuries. You have like the physical damage, all the different things that happen. You have a short term in the NFL because of all the damage you sustained. But you can't acknowledge that Colin Kaepernick is not against the flag. He's not against the country. He's against police brutality and the poor treatment of Black people in America. And you're not acknowledging that. So you can make this big old statement. You're gonna play Lift Every Voice and sing, but you can't acknowledge Colin Kaepernick. Meanwhile, like I said, the NBA, you're literally wearing "I Can't Breathe." You're right, I can't breathe. I can identify with that. I see that on the team. You have LeBron James, and I don't even watch the NBA at all, but I know all these players from the activism they do and the things that they talk about, like openly, and people pushing back against them. NBA fans are like, "Oh my gosh, just be a sports person. Why are you out here talking about politics?"
That's just Fox News.
Well, I see some of the comments too.
That's Laura Ingraham.
But but regular people are saying it too, all right? It's regular people, but at the same time, it's the fact that they're able to do that. Their voices aren't silenced. And institutions that allow people who are from a group that are historically oppressed to speak about that oppression, how it continues today, how it affects them, and what changes they have, you can have more respect for that institution because you're not stifling voices to make sure that you're appeasing to your larger audience that don't feel the same kind of oppression or history. So big difference. Big
Yeah.
difference.
Well, and also the NBA in the beginning, I mean, it is predominantly African American.
Mm-hmm.
There's also maybe a big difference between guaranteed contracts and non-guaranteed contracts, because you can just release somebody in the NFL if they're giving you supposedly a problem.
Right.
And in the NBA, they're just, I mean, again, they started this whole, everybody in the NBA never knelt because they have a policy that they had in place before the NFL decided to try to get one, where everybody has to stand for the anthem, but they still allow their players to say whatever they say without being ridiculed or by league offices, like, oh, you can't say this. But remember, the NFL is a place where you got to wear your socks a certain way. You got to look. You can't have this. You can't have your helmet. You can't have your glove. They want to have everything so controlled. They want to control almost every message, in it. And the NFL has always had an issue with, I think, black athletes. It started with the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of went on from there. Or, they're not intelligent enough to play quarterback, and all these black quarterbacks who became wide receivers because they were never given a chance. But now the face of the NFL is a black quarterback. Two faces, maybe the top two guys in the NFL are black quarterbacks, or three if you want to include Deshaun. You know what I mean? Like top guys in the NFL are black quarterbacks. So all that narrative now, the power structure changing. Being a quarterback in the NFL changes the power structure of not only your team, but that organization. When that didn't happen before, there was no black quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just there across the league. Like it's a normal thing because it should be. But they have power. Mahomes has power. He can use it. He was on that video. And the next day,
that's why Goodell came out and said what he said.
Next day,
Mahomes was on that video. I was like, oh, wait a minute.
That's it. That makes a big difference.
Correct.
Mahomes can be LeBron, how LeBron is in the NFL, because of his reach and his stature on the front of the video games and in Kansas City and wherever he can go. He's Patrick freaking Mahomes. He's a Super Bowl MVP. That dude has some kind of weight, man. Okay, well, Patrick Mahomes is on this. That makes a difference.
Right.
It's like if Tom Brady was on front. This is Mahomes.
Right.
So now if it was a running back, it was just Zeke or somebody, it's a running back.
If only Drew Brees was on that video. Oh, my bad.
Stop it. He came around, man. That's a low blow, man.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Well, speaking of...
Yeah. I would say that's a good point. Like when you have a shift in power, things change, right? So, talking about like the quarterbacks where they felt that they weren't smart enough, intelligent, controlled enough to lead a whole entire team, and that whole narrative change, and then you see a different dynamic. You see them outstanding. They're like blowing away stats. It's the same thing in other institutions. The same thing across the sports. When you see a change where I don't think you're capable, not because of any real statistics, not because of any like evidence, that's because of your skin color and like this racist narrative, to call it what it is. And then when that kind of goes away and shifts, then you have people to allow to flourish and use their talents to the fullest extent. And that's what people are calling for. Like, stop looking at people based on race. Stop looking at people based on their skin color and making assumptions about what they're able to do, contribute, how they're able to expand and just really kind of grow in their role. Give people the opportunity and let them speak for themselves.
This is true. All right, so let's stay in the NFL. And speaking of changes, let's talk about something I guess that was maybe near and dear to my own heart. Growing up, as everybody probably here, definitely y'all too should know, diehard Washington football fan. Getting a time till I don't know, maybe just a couple years ago. I never liked the ownership, and then like when Daniel Snyder took over, but I was always burgundy and gold.
Yes, you were.
Always burgundy and gold, just everything. Now, if you paid attention to the show, since we've been on in just past couple of years, you have seen that I basically have either Arsenal on or my New York Mets. And those are only two teams that I have basically repped on the show because I was not in agreement with the name of the Washington football team. And there's a time where you grow up and realize that's just not right and needs to change.
Yeah.
So this week, FedEx, Nike, and a bunch of other businesses came together and sent Daniel Snyder a note saying, "Hey, homie, your name got to go."
That was huge. That was huge.
Nike pulling merch means no money coming in.
That is.
So And we discussed this like a couple weeks ago, but this is now more of a reality than just maybe hoping it was going to happen. I just, before I give my thoughts, since it's a deep topic for me, Joyell, what's your
I missed the story, and Adrian was like, "Did you see that Nike pulled all the Redskins merchandise?" I was like, What happened?" I was like, "Because of the name," and I'm like, "Finally." I mean, this is something that's been in debates for like I know over 20 years. And then even beyond that, that's when I can remember probably like 30 plus years, this debate about using the name Redskins. Once you understand what the name Redskins mean and what it originated from, like, why would you have a whole team named after that? And people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just a name. It's not naming an actual tribe, blah, blah, blah. But the name Redskins was a racist term given to native populations here because of the color of their skin. So everyone had this kind of term, a color term to describe them. It was never anything positive about it. So why would you keep it? Like, why would you have a mascot of a person? And people like to use the and I think it's Michigan that has the little leprechaun.
No, it's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, okay.
The 6-year-olds.
What you get us saying? The whole Notre Dame. People use leprechaun is like leprechauns aren't real. As far as I know, they're not real.
Well, they're called the Fighting Irish.
The Fighting Irish,
but it doesn't offend any Irish people,
right? And it's not a derogatory. The Fighting Irish, the fighting, it's very the Redskins, and then the mascot is isn't it like a Native American man?
No. His name was Chief Z. He was a fan of the team, but he, unfortunately passed away. But there, again, there's still people who would still show up with headdress and whatever, and just get dressed up like they do for Cleveland Indians games or whatever it is. And which also Cleveland Indians are now looking into changing their name as well.
I hope so too, because they actually are a tribal nation that's called Cleveland Indians. I mean, like that's what Cleveland was named after. I mean, so like
my high school is Nyack Indians,
right? And just think about tribal nations as they're sitting there watching someone who's not part of the tribe dance in traditional headdress for a football game,
unless, like Florida State, they got permission to do so. So that's just
permission. So you actually went to the group that you're representing.
The actual Seminoles in the county.
Are you okay if we like represent the name?
Yeah, because you represent the name well. But that was coming from the fan of the team point of view. Mm-hmm. That was, and still people today, fans of the team think the name isn't derogatory. I grew up not knowing, but when you love something, you just kind of justify it.
Yeah,
and it's unjustifiable. It's an unjustifiable thing.
I mean, I'm gonna take it back. I remember one point you were justifying it, and I was like, absolutely not. They're like,
exactly. I would defend anything Burgundy and Gold. Because to me, it was never. We had the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. All this is all positive, but you look at it of everything, and not everything is in a vacuum,
right?
Because you're just as a fan, you're looking at just the team and the fans. You're not looking at the outside at all. It's like being a Dallas Cowboys fan. They're delusional. They're in a whole nother galaxy. Mm-hmm. But this is the part of being a fan that you become delusional. That's why it's short for fanatic. And once I got the addict part out and became a fan, and just kind of look back like this is just not right.
Right.
This needs to change. And let's say Cleveland Indians hopefully going to change. I know my high school doesn't. I think we are the Nyack Indians, but we don't show the mascot, the imagery that we used to have that used to come with the school at all anymore.
That's good.
So it's things have to change, and people are like, oh, this is society. We offend everybody. Well, no, not even offend. It's what if it just wasn't right in the first place?
Right.
It's just not right in the first place. Period.
Right.
Period. And then, in all truthfulness, it's funny. My cousin posted something up there that I would have taken offense to 10 years ago. He posted up there like black people defending the Washington Redskins nickname. Something wrong with y'all. That would have been me. I would have taken offense to that. I probably would have flown down to Puerto Rico and punched him in the face.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
love.
Yeah, and I even liked it. I mean, but it's 100% right. It's 100% right. And the thing that the guy who founded the team is a known racist. So obviously the nickname wasn't meant to be any
Exactly.
sort of, oh, hey guys, we really
Empowering.
like you.
Right.
So we're going to name the team because we have respect for you guys. And the team started in Boston, which is a racist town anyway. He moved to Team South because he didn't want to integrate the team. Think about it. He named the team the Redskins and didn't want to integrate the team, have any black people on the team. They're the last team to integrate.
Wow.
You know, until DC removed his name from everything. So now, you know, the team name hopefully is going to be, again, I was coming with Red Hawks, Red Salamanders, Red Herrings, whatever red names we can come up with, as long as it's red
Red
something.
Snapper. I mean, like,
you could always
Red
you could always
Snapper.
do the Redskins and just make the logo a potato.
what?
We're not from Idaho. No.
Redskin potato.
I know there's Redskin potatoes, but you know what? That might be racist. I don't know.
What?
No, I wouldn't even come close to that. No, but which was funny. But it's funny because the Harlem Globetrotters are willing to sell the name Washington Generals. You know, they own the, you know, they play the team, the Washington Generals, that they beat every, you know, they own the name. So they're willing to sell the Generals to Washington.
Huh.
But I'm not for that. It has to be an R name.
Yeah, it's got to be R. It's got to be R.
It's got to be R, and it's got to be a red something.
Yeah, I still think Red Hawks is a no-brainer.
Red Hawks is banging. I love
I like the name Red Hawks.
Yeah, Red Hawks or Red
Red
Wolves. I'm
Wolves.
good with the Red Hawks or Red Wolves.
Yeah,
Red Wolves.
Yeah, Red Wolves.
but this is just this. I mean, as many things come down to in this country, it all comes down to the almighty dollar, man. Money talks.
Yeah.
And you got Nike. You talk about FedEx.
Yeah, who has naming rights to the stadium?
To the stadium, right? And I've also heard that, as you know, Hurt, you've been in that stadium. It's not a good stadium.
No, it's horrible.
Daniel Snyder wants to put a stadium in DC, but he will
That's
never
where they're from.
Right.
We can never go back to DC if the name remains the same.
Exactly. They're not gonna put a stadium in DC if the name stays the same.
But remember what I told you, like probably just a couple years ago. He should have done this without this reaction.
Yep.
Like that would have put his, even though the majority of I'm sure, because I was one of them, the majority of the fan base would have been against it, but publicity wise, revenue wise, it would have been an even bigger win for him to have changed the name on his own.
Right.
Yeah.
Knowing that everybody kept coming up and saying all these things years ago. And you just said, you know what, it's my team, we're going to change this, boom, without anything happening.
Right.
You know, they would have been like, wow, okay, you just did it on your own. And it would have gave him some kind of kudos because he's still a half-class owner.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's so much precedence for this, man. We've had college teams, we have professional teams. Heck, in your own town, the Wizards change. I mean, the Bulls changed to the Wizards. Time goes on, man. No one's gonna. It's first, like you said, it's gonna give you a little boost in you know, with branding. You know, being rebranded is gonna give you a little boost. But after a while, it's not even good. No one's. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna be an afterthought after a while. It's a name. And understand that's your brand, but you can still brand it the same with the fresh.
You brand it the same. You have the burgundy and gold because that means the color scheme means a lot.
Right.
You don't have to change to the Nationals and Wizards colors.
Right.
Stick to your burgundy and gold.
Right.
Change the freaking name so that your fans, even though they still. Have you seen any Washington Redskins stuff anywhere? I don't even say the word Redskin anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it now because it's on the show because it's over. It's old. Get over it. All the fans who are upset and tradition, get over it. It's done. It's over with. Support the team when they change their name. Red Hawks, Red Wolves, but just don't. I know for some reason I have a feeling it's gonna be something stupid.
So that brings me to my next question.
Red Hawks.
I'll ask both of you all: is Daniel Snyder going to change the name?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the problem. We should have done it without not having a choice.
And that's the thing. It's a key thing. People say, well, everyone's so offended. But like you made a good point, Kevin. Is it really that people are sensitive or you were just wrong and disrespectful in the first place?
Wrong and disrespectful in the first place.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. It's like because you're comfortable being disrespectful and ignorant of like the origins of things or how things offend other people, doesn't make it right. You know, just because you're comfortable sitting in that does not make it right. If you're doing things that are blatantly racist, oppressive, disrespectful, all different bad things. Stop it. It's okay to change and pull it back. You don't have, it's not an ego. Well, some people it is an ego thing, but like drop the ego, reel it back. If you have a common courtesy and respect for other people, everyone talking about we're all Americans, we're all the same. Well, if we're all American, all the same, understand the history of it, understand that you're offending your fellow Americans, so you want to do something to change that.
I.e. flags that offend people, i.e. Statues that offend people, i.e. names of a stupid recreational team that offends people.
Right.
Get rid of it. It's just a natural thing. Get rid of those things. Get rid of the symbols. Get rid of the things that show either oppression or or not even history, just a losing part of history, whatever the case is. But Washington never went to any tribe and said, hey, does this offensive? You know, if he went to a reservation in Oklahoma, or if they went some other place and said, are you guys offended? They're like, yes. You change the name. None of that stuff ever happened because, again, the people who own the team have no feeling towards the people they're offending because basically the majority of these people are white, especially in the NFL. There aren't any black owners in the NFL.
Yeah.
So there's no feeling of that.
The perspective is very limited. When you're not able to understand a different perspective, understand a different culture, understand a different, a whole ecosystem of people and how they work and network, is very limited. And that's where that privilege comes in. You're very limited. You don't have to understand. You don't feel the same pressures and oppression other people do. You don't feel the same prejudice other people do because you're immune to it in a sense.
You are, and especially when you have, as DC does, a rabid fan base. Who has your back and will defend you, no matter how horrible the teams have been.
If you're protected.
You know, oh, well, actually, you know what? That's not true. Because as we all know, every NFL team that visits DC has their own home game. So I did forget. So the fans aren't supporting the team, but only because they're not winning. If this team was winning, forget about it. DC is a Washington football town. It's burgundy and golded up.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a baseball town now, Hurt. Get it right.
Oh, your favorite team plays down there, right?
Well, I mean, they do have the national champions in their team.
The national
champions. I mean, in their town right now, so you know.
What they call it, the national champions?
Oh my gosh. But I think it's gonna change. I mean, there's at this point, it's like it's been a debate that's happening for decades. You're at this tipping point now where it's like everyone's like, okay, yeah, maybe let me hold myself accountable because other people are. And if he maintains that name, that's going to say a whole lot, especially as people are now looking up the history of things. And to speak to that point, people are talking about, Kevin, people are talking about how people are arguing against pulling down the monuments and changing names of buildings. And they say, you're destroying history. It's like, you didn't even know these things even existed until it hit the news. So how are you talking about destroying history and you didn't even know they existed, who these people were, what they did, why they even got the recognition to even have the name or a monument and things like that, and why
it's not even it's history, but it's not even successful history. I don't even know what even to call it.
The thing about it is,
like, I don't even know what that is.
When you look up and read about some of these people that have their names on buildings and the monuments, you're like, why would you ever? I mean, I know they gave you some money, but why would you ever even put the concrete and effort and artists together to even craft this statue for this person? It's just so hideous, like how they act and treated people. But there's so many other people in history that you can erect up in honor. So many people, whether they're white, Asian, Native American, Black, I mean, any other, so many different people in history, in American history, you can erect a statue to the point where you wouldn't even have any land.
Or name a school after.
Or name a school, or name a public building, or anything like that. But you chose these people, and you're upset that we're gonna
that's like
somebody who literally looked at Black people and said, "You're nothing. We can beat you. We can put you in jail. They don't deserve any land. They don't deserve any rights. They don't deserve to vote." But you want to honor that? Okay.
No, it's like on last week's show, I was saying Dan went to Jefferson Davis Middle School, which he did inform me they actually changed the name to Palm Springs Community Middle School now. But why was it even named after Jefferson Davis in the first place?
Look, Jefferson Davis and Highway that runs all the way down, like I think it's Route 1 in Virginia. that I used to take all the way down when I go down North Carolina.
Yeah.
Cut off the Highway 95 and it's Jefferson Davidson Highway. I'm like, okay.
I mean, y'all know everybody. There's people really named Robert E. Lee around. I mean, but again, it's just Robert E. Lee this, Robert E. Lee that for someone who lost something. In a society, especially in America, where we want to celebrate winners all the time, we sure as heck celebrated the biggest bunch of losers in the history of existence of life.
I saw something that said, and I was like, that's so true. Said,
because how many King George stuff do we have around here? Didn't we beat him and he got packing? I don't remember King George High School.
No.
I mean, anybody see King George High School anywhere?
So at this point in time, gay marriage has been around longer than the Confederacy. Just think about that. Gay marriage has been around longer than the Confederacy.
The Confederacy only lasted for 5 years, from 1861 to 1865.
Right. Yeah. But and the fact that this huge impact in history, how many years later, or over a century later, is a concerted effort from the Daughters of Confederacy to maintain these symbols. And they strategically put them in places where they wasn't even part of the Confederacy. So it was
they were put up in years. They were put up during the Civil Rights Movement and during Jim Crow. If you take a look at all the statues that were put up and when they were put up, way after the Civil War.
Way after.
Oh yeah, it was in the 1900s.
Strategic, like I said, most of them during the Civil Rights Movement. That was planned.
The biggest thing is all these people wanted to live in a bubble. And speaking of bubbles, let's move on to the NBA. So the NBA is trying to navigate their little bubble world down there in Disney, and kind of not working. Working a little bit. Some teams have closed their facilities because they've had positive tests. I think because I think they're practicing at their home stadiums before they come down here. I believe the Clippers just had to close theirs before they come down there. Go ahead, Brian.
When are they supposed to report to Orlando?
I believe this coming week.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I believe this coming week they're supposed to report to Orlando and start practicing, team practicing, and then start the 8 games before they start the playoffs. So they're going into this little bubble. They can't leave. You leave the bubble, you're found out to leave the bubble, you have to be in quarantine for 10 to 14 days, and you're going to miss your team's games. And there's also, it is voluntary. So not everybody is reporting back to their team. Some people who just don't feel safe or comfortable or due to family issues, whatever, aren't reporting in there. My question is, if you guys are going into this bubble where you get tested every day, you get 2 nose swabs and a throat swab, and you can't leave the bubble, what 3 things are you bringing in the bubble to keep you company?
I'm bringing plants. You already know how I do with plants.
Plants
right now.
You're gonna put them on a plane?
I mean, can I bite when I get there?
Why are you biting? Okay, it was one of your things.
Because if I have to be quarantined, okay.
Right, what are your things? Okay.
Right.
Yes. No.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
That's one of your things. Okay.
Just making sure.
What are the 2 other things?
Can I bring my cats?
As long as they stay in a bubble.
Okay, they can stay inside. I mean, so I got my cats, I got plants, and I have to bring lots. Well, you can get alcohol from anywhere, but lots of food. What's your list? What's your amazing list, Kevin, that you have that's so astounding?
Saying it's amazing, but just you know what, your list is just different. Go ahead, Brian. What you got?
All right, 3 things: my Bible, my iPad, and my art supplies.
You know what? That sounds practical, Brian.
Well, wouldn't you be packing it anyway, though?
Huh?
Wouldn't you be packing your iPad anyway?
Those are the 3 necessities he needs.
I thought it was. So I was just thinking if I could only have 3 things, those would be the things. That's
fine. I'm cool with that. The way
if
that
you can only bring and they would supply everything else. What's the stipulations for this? I need.
That's no. The stipulations were like the 3 things you can't survive without while you're going to be in this bubble. And I think both of y'all still handled it correctly. It's just in different ways.
Well, I mean, they're going to give us food in the bubble also. So
the food's they're going to feed you.
I'm going to bring the plants. I'm going to bring my cats because, I need entertainment. and either the laptop or iPad.
Entertainment.
I need entertainment. You know how they do. They're running around right now like a wild pack of wild horses. So
yeah, you got to bring both of them.
Right, exactly. Can't bring one.
I gotta have my iPad. I can't. I don't go anywhere without my iPad, man.
Yeah, iPad or computer, because either one I always have it.
No, you already named your 3. Sorry.
No, they're gonna give me food. I can change it.
Oh, now you changed.
I'm appealing it. I'm gonna bring.
How much you bringing like 60 days of food with you? Because that's what I want.
No, they're gonna supply me.
Down there. If your team wins, you're gonna be down there for a minute. So what kind
they're giving me food, NBA. So I'm the iPad. I have more games on it. iPad, cats, plant, done.
iPad.
All right, what about you, Hurt? What are you bringing?
What's your amazing list?
I mean, of course, PlayStation.
Okay.
You gotta have a PlayStation. By the way, real quick, while we're talking about the PlayStation, Brian, or I guess we can answer this, or you can answer this too, Doc. So, say wife is in labor. You kind of separated now, but she's in labor. While she's in labor,
while I'm in the bubble.
No. This is outside the bubble. This is just like a regular hospital. This is a regular hospital. Your wife's in labor. In order to pass the time, do you bring your PlayStation with you?
No.
Yeah.
Well, you asking me. I'm not bringing.
Well, yeah. Okay. Do you bring your iPad with you?
Yeah, bring my
iPad. Yeah. What you gonna do? I mean, labor's a long time.
I mean, it is, but I guess it was an NBA player. I forgot his name.
I remember this.
So it just happened like this week. I totally forgot his name, but his wife's in labor or expecting a first kid. He's in there playing PlayStation. I was like,
labor is boring.
Labor is boring.
I mean,
can't do that, man.
But I mean, but you in that period where you're like sitting there for hours.
I'm not taking any chances. I'm not bringing Jack. Except
you're in there with her.
I'll have my phone. I'll have, like I said, an iPad. That's as far as I'm going.
Okay,
I'm trying to be that entertained where I'm playing Call of Duty. Wow. While you're in there, puffing and puffing.
You can play Call of Duty on the iPad. If you can, you can get away. But you literally got the whole setup where you you get what I'm saying? You can get away with it on the iPad. Like yeah. But when you actually brought the PlayStation to the hospital. But think about it. After the baby's born, everyone's tired. They're gonna be sleeping. You're gonna be there for another 2 days. So I mean, in the downtime.
I know this is a whole different generation. I know my child, our youngest kids were born like 12 years ago. It's a whole different world. I don't know about you. I would not have brought a PlayStation to the hospital.
Nah.
I would not have a PlayStation. An iPad, yes.
I think I would have left. I would have been in the hospital.
You wouldn't have left the house.
Exactly.
The life is going home. Kevin's still there.
Exactly. Okay, I just got a mouth concussion. It should be home in a couple of days. So for me, definitely PlayStation, iPad, and like a notebook.
A notebook.
Just to write down my thoughts and everything, even though I couldn't read
an iPad.
Well, that's different than my iPad's like for games and internet stuff like that. But I need something just to write something down on. I would just need just my thoughts and just everything that's going on.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Because the dog can stay here. He'll be all right.
Max.
But if I could bring a fish tank, I would bring a fish tank.
I know. Yeah. So there you go. So what's your list? Can you tell us your list?
No, the PlayStation, the iPad, and like a notebook or something. Yeah, something like that.
You mean for the bubble?
The bubble, yeah.
Do they have paper there?
I don't know, but who's giving me the paper? I'm only trusting but so much. Okay. I'm eating the food. I know the towels are sanitized. I don't know who's giving me this paper. Okay? So I'll bring my own paper.
Just do what Adrian does, spray everything with Lysol.
Gosh. Well, yeah, so the NBA is going to the bubble, and also, Doc, to all this COVID stuff going on, as an outsider who's not a big sports fan, what's your feeling on all these sports trying to actually come back? Especially, there's some starting up this month. Now, other countries have had their sports come back. As I'm here with the Premier League in the background, where Man United, I think, is winning 5-2. And Arsenal plays at 12:30, so this podcast will be over before that. But well, like, what's your feeling on just baseball's trying to come back? This month? NBA's coming back this month.
Yeah, I'm watching like the teams and seeing what the strategies they have. Even for the bubble scene, like you have to be quarantined for a week prior to the prior to your game. The testing strategies they have. I mean, I'm glad that they have more tests available to uptick the testing and people and the frequency of testing for the players, try to keep them safe, social distancing. So I mean, it seems like they have a good strategy in place. I'm mixed with it because as a healthcare provider, I'm like, everyone stay home. But at the same time, I understand that people are staying home. They literally are home for weeks. Well, at this point, months now. Yeah. Some people have not really left their home. They're just doing Instacart and all the different remote shopping things. Everyone's buying things online, have it delivered. People are really scared. People haven't eaten out yet. So when you're doing that level of confinement is not natural for people who are used to a lot of human interaction. And it's for some people, sports is escape, right? I have my plants and my cats. People have the sports, watch the sports team. They look forward to that. That's their routine. So I understand the return to being kind of quote unquote normal. So people have that outlet. So it's kind of hard because, one side you're like, stay home, right? Players should stay home, do things remotely, try to be real creative with it. But at the same time, these are their livelihoods. And that's, for some people, that is their life. Like they're not playing sports. It's like, what am I doing? Because that is their identity. So it's really hard because you have to kind of balance like how you do it. So if you're going to enter the stage, make sure they're consulting with like the scientific experts and medical professionals who are experts in this and how to stay safe, how to recognize symptoms if people are asymptomatic. That's even like the news stations, they have to only have one person represent them. They have to be spaced out. They can't even be close to the teams up in the sky boxes. So they're doing a lot of things to try to make sure that they keep the essence of the game going while keeping everyone, not just the players, but everyone, all the affiliates safe at the same time. So it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. It's just, I hope that
everybody's safe.
Yeah, and the players are adhering to the rules. Like you said, it's voluntary. So if you go out to like a nightclub.
No, that's not voluntary. Like voluntary means they don't have to report. Like there's players who are staying home. But once you're in the bubble, like you can't leave. If you do leave, you're quarantined right away. Okay. That's not like you, because they signed this thing where you're in, say you're staying at Epcot. You're at Epcot. You're not going to Universal. You're not going to Gatorland. You're here in this bubble. And I think after like a certain amount of time, your families can come in, but they're all going to be tested because it's going to be a long time. I think it's like after 60 days for teams that are making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Then the families can come in, they get tested, they get stay with them, but they also have to adhere to staying in the bubble as well. But yeah. So, but the other teams who are eliminated, they can go.
Yeah. I'm still of the opinion we're not going to see sports for the rest of the year. I'm calling.
You don't think so?
Nah,
things are already starting. I know, like Atlanta Braves tested positive. I found out. But people. Another thing is too, I don't think people aren't taking it seriously, as we know, because people are having COVID parties. Yeah, they're not taking the whole thing seriously. So, it's tough. Yeah, but go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say, I know things are about to start, but I'm not, put it this way, I'm not saying there's not going to be any sports. I'm not convinced that we're going to see sports. So,
I mean, but then you look at all the college players that are coming up positive, like half of the teams, and hey, cutie.
You know what? That's the best question of the whole day.
Holler at me.
We're talking about sports here, AC. No, but you know what? I think sports are going to get started. I just don't think they're going to finish. I think because they're going to go into the fall and all this stuff still. I think there's again the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, has started their tournament in Utah, and they've been playing every day. And if someone comes up with a positive test, they take that person out. The rest of the team, everybody's getting tested. Right. So they actually have started there. They're the first actual, besides NASCAR, the first actual American sport to start back up. But they're in Utah. Utah hasn't had these, spikes of cases like Florida has. And actually in Florida, it's mostly around Orlando and not in Orlando, like Miami, Tallahassee, certain areas like that have had the biggest number of spikes.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to start, but if things don't get fixed, like, I mean, look at Vegas. You know, Vegas has had their issues, and people want to still go. Well, I'm not going in the casino with a mask on. There's no point in me going.
I'm not touching any casino.
You know, exactly. I'm not. Why am I going there like gowned up so I can put 5 on red? I mean, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying?
Gotta wipe down all the hand.
Come on, black. Come on.
Yeah, bet on black. Oh, you know what? Bet on black. That's right. So yeah, I just think they're gonna because they need to have everybody come back and actually have a plan. But I'm not sure if we go into October, if we go further along, that it's actually going to finish.
Think about the regular season. Like, so you have COVID, right? It's not really going anywhere in the United States. It's inconsistent. Social distancing guidelines. The states are very different, and even when you have the states have guidelines, the local municipalities, the counties have different guidelines. So people are not wearing masks. I went out to a restaurant in Baltimore, and I just said, "Look at every single person who works here. All the masks were down here, noses out, like every single person."
I don't get that. I saw that. I was walking. What was that? Walmart. Right. And people just walking around with just their nose out. I'm like, what's the point of having the mask on?
I was in the store, and the lady literally had her mask like this, and I was like,
you know what? Maybe she didn't shave. Maybe she had a little beard.
Listen, I don't care. Let it show. Cover this up.
Let it show.
But the thing about it is like, when fall comes, like around September, flu season starts. Right. So then you have flu season along with COVID. So that's going to happen. Then they have this new mega strain of swine flu coming out of China that they're like could be another pandemic. So they're watching that closely. So hopefully, fingers crossed, knocking all type of wood and all type of stuff, throw water in the air, whatever, that doesn't become a pandemic. Because then we have that on top of everything else. And already people are getting infected. Like I said, the college players. And you think about, people think, okay, this person's infected, but then who do they live with, who they've interacted with is a whole web. It's not just a person. If one person's affected, then at least a few other people who they come in contact with over the past week or two. So I agree. I think it may start, but I don't know if it's going to continue the whole entire season, at least not the regular season.
Yeah,
be a kind of a condensed season to kind of get the fulfillment of a finish of a final championship or whatever, game. But I don't think it's going to be look the same.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well,
go ahead, but we're going to say something.
I've lost my train of thought. That
it looks like you're in the middle of something. Well,
I was like, okay, ready for it. Maybe eat that dry oatmeal to get the brain cells going.
Man.
Oh, yeah, the raw oatmeal from the packet.
Oh, yeah.
That was the
oatmeal right here.
That was the worst segment.
That's dry oatmeal.
I got a bowl today.
Of dry oatmeal.
No, regular.
Oh,
regular oatmeal. No. He had the dry oatmeal like 2 weeks ago, and I think I put it out of my memory. So, but speaking of opting out, the WNBA is trying to come back as well, and there's a couple players who have or opted out. But Maya Moore, UConn great, one of the best basketball players, of course, of all time, took off before this COVID came around to try to help someone that she met to get out of jail. His name was Jonathan Irons, who actually just came out this past Wednesday after 22 years in jail. She took off 2 seasons to help try to reset his conviction. He was convicted on burglary and assault charges with a weapon. And it was finally, after 22 years, overturned. But she spent 2 seasons out of the WNBA just to try to get this man free.
Wait a minute.
I mean, he's 40 years old. It was a 50-year sentence.
Wait a minute, a 50-year sentence for burglary and assault charges?
With a weapon in a suburban, look at where it happened, St. Louis homeowner.
50 years?
Yes, 50 years. The man testified that Irons was the person who assaulted him in his home, but Irons' lawyer said there's no evidence, witness, fingerprints, footprints, and DNA to corroborate that their client committed the crime. He was a black teen who was living in poverty. He was 18 at the time.
Right.
Oh, no, sorry, 16 at the time of the incident. It takes years for trial stuff, but was tried as an adult and was tried by, here we go, an all-white jury and found guilty.
Which is not even.
I'm still on the 50-year sentence.
Yep.
50-year sentence.
For
armed robbery, supposedly, because actually not even supposedly, it wasn't even him, but for armed robbery and assault. 50 years, and he served 22 of that.
23 years. I'm looking here. It says the judge vacated his conviction from 1998, but this after a string of failed appeals, Supreme Court refusing to take the case, and the lead prosecutor in St. Charles County, Missouri, declined a retrial for him. Talk about a failure of justice, or some people might say that's how justice works, depending on who you are.
It's how justice works. Again, yeah. Like I said, I go back to the whole Rodney King thing, and just and the cops going off. They moved it from Los Angeles to another suburb, which was 99% white.
Right.
And it was like 0.03% black.
It's like, what happened to the jury of your peers?
Yeah, but that doesn't happen. So in this case, and this is one of the reasons why, Brian, I just don't like St. Louis, period. But this is one of the reasons. I don't care if Nellie's from there or not. It's just St. Louis has always been that type of place to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just Missouri in general. I don't know, but just specifically St. Louis.
But this is like an example of using your power and privilege to make things happen, make a change. Because she could have been like, hey, I met him. I'm sorry, but I got games to play. The fact that she took upon, I didn't realize she was out for 2 years, two seasons to do this. Like, that's dedication, commitment, and like that changes a whole person's whole life.
That's using your power and who you are to help someone who was innocent to get out. And it's so the bad thing is, of course, we've all watched Just Mercy.
Yeah.
How many of these things are actually out there? Well, how many? Go ahead. Sorry.
When you look at the Innocence, I don't remember the number, but the Innocence Project, when they look at the number of people that might be on death row or wrongly convicted, there's a significant amount of people that are in prison right now serving like either life sentences, consecutive, or in death row. That is like,
but it was like something like 1 out of 9 for maybe this play. But 1 out of 9, just think about that. That's not 1 out of 100.
Right.
That's not 1 out of 1,000. This is 1 out of 9, not even 1 out of 10. This is 1 out of 9. So you had a classroom full of 18 people, 2 of them in there, could be found. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And that's, you don't think about that as you think of it as a big number. That's very frequent. And that people get railroaded in this country. I'm sorry, that we get railroaded in this country. But I'm glad that she, I know I'm a UConn fan, and she is one of my favorite basketball players of all time. But besides all of that, just the fact that when any athlete decides to sacrifice their career earnings, their life, whatever it is, to go and help someone who was wronged, like literally wronged, trying as an adult, by the way.
Right.
When he was 16, and 16 was the first time I ever got stopped by the police. So I can't even imagine being 16, and it's a harrowing experience.
Right.
And when you're scared, they can talk you into saying or doing anything. You just take that little 16-year-old, put them in a room, these grown adults, and you're yelling at them. And of course, there's the one nice guy that's going to give you, some water or make you feel better. It's like, you're all right. You're in there crying. Your parents ain't there. Ain't nobody around you. And a kid living in poverty. What options do you have? What fight do you have?
You're poor. You don't have access to resources. You don't know what resources you can have access to. You don't have anyone advocating for you. You don't know your rights. It's a storm. This is like the perfect storm. And then that's what they show with a lot of cases where it's like people were coerced or, I can't remember. I think it was a study out of New Orleans, but the number of people that were sent to jail or prison and were coerced because they didn't understand like pleading guilty actually meant they have conviction. They thought they might get a lesser time. So it's like something along those lines, but it shows that like when you're in this situation, the perfect storm is lining up, you don't know your rights, you don't have representation, you don't know what you can ask for, what you can and should not say. And then people are taking these plea deals to get off because they're telling them take the plea deal. Because say you're guilty, you get a lesser sentence, and that's actually not the case. Where they probably should have, especially if they're innocent, should have said, "No, I did not do this. I am not guilty." And because that, they probably would have gotten off because they're not truly not guilty, but pleading guilty is something you never did just to get out because they're telling you that if you plead guilty is a better outcome for you. Yeah, it's wrong. It's unjust. Yeah, That's his. One study estimated up to 10,000 people may be wrongfully convicted each year of serious crimes. 10,000 people a year.
And that's insane.
If even if it's 5,000, it's still too many people.
Yeah, or if it's 1,000, just 10,000. That's someone's like this. You're taking that from somebody's home and putting them in a place where they shouldn't be. Every one of my favorite movies I watch on TV, just by sense of law, is A Few Good Men.
Mm.
So when Caffey comes back with the plea deal, and they look at him like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "No, listen, you'll get dishonorably discharged, but instead of going to jail for 20 years, I can get you out in 2.
Right.
It's okay." But like, no, we didn't do anything though.
Right.
Like, we were ordered to go do something and we did it. Why are we even going through this in the first place? And I'm just thinking about how, as a kid, someone comes back to you and says, "You know what? This could be 50 years. But if you plead guilty, I can get you out in 3, probably, right. With good time served, maybe even 10. You're young. You can get out at 28 and have a full life knowing that you're a convicted felon. You ain't getting a job at 7-Eleven when you get out."
Right.
But when you're sitting there like, "Oh, 28's okay. I didn't do anything, but I don't know if I have a choice." There's no one there saying, "No, you didn't do anything wrong, kid. Let's go."
And then plus, you hear the stories that, if you get a public defender, they're not going to defend you. They're overworked. They're just, they're not going to help you out. So you're thinking, and of course, for the guilt trip, like, you think about your mom, your siblings, and the burden on them if they got to come visit you. And you're thinking, well, I make it easy on them. I'd be out in a short amount of time.
I'm not taking food from anybody's mouth. If I'm here, this way they can survive. I'll just sacrifice. I'm only going to be 10 years. I'm still young.
And then not understanding that even though the detective might say, "Hey, just take this plea deal," the judge can say something totally different.
And they do. And they do. They're like, "Nope, it's 50.
Right.
That's probably what happened to Jonathan. The same thing. Probably just getting railroaded into this. "Oh, take 5." But the judge has the ultimate sentencing power. It's like, "Nope, you know what? You're a menace to society." I forgot what that was. I think that was Just Mercy, maybe. Yeah, it was.
Just Mercy.
But when he was just like, "No, you're getting like the full sentence," and they even put him on death row before he was even sentenced. Really?
Yeah, they.
I mean, it's just, and again, that wasn't that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, based on a true story, is within our lifetime.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? Within our lifetime, in a state that has a history of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we are, but I don't want to get too far. I know we're hour NB. I know you had a little trivia. You had some specials. I don't know what you got. What you got, B? Besides the bubble.
That just kind of.
We can't end on that. It's a holiday weekend for this country, I guess. Gotta have something, man.
Yeah, you are correct.
Sometimes the transitions aren't always great.
4th of July trivia.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm gonna ask some questions.
Wait, I don't have a buzzer. Like, do I have to raise my hand? What happened?
No, we're gonna alternate.
Okay.
I am gonna we're not gonna do still. We don't have time for that. But I have enough questions. See who comes out on top. Who wants to go first?
I go first.
Ladies go first.
I'm gonna win anyway, so yeah.
All right, first question, and these are all multiple choice.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Which document does the 4th of July commemorate? The Constitution of the U.S., the Bill of Rights, Emancipation Proclamation.
That Maryland education coming through. What was the last one?
The Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence.
You are correct.
All right.
Kurt, who declared the 13 colonies were no longer part of the British Empire? Was it the Confederate Congress, the Constitutional Congress, the Conventional Congress, or the Continental Congress?
I'm glad he got that one.
2.
The Constitutional Congress?
No, 4.
The Continental Congress?
Yes.
You are correct.
Okay.
You should give the first answer. It was wrong.
No. I had to think about it because I'm like conventional. Because I knew it was the something Congress. And then he said that one, but the other one, because he said it first, was in my head. But I got it right.
Sure, that's what it
Keep
is.
going.
All right, Joyell.
Yeah, the Continental Congress. Yep.
On what day did Congress vote for American independence? July 1st, July 2nd, July 3rd, or July the 4th?
I'm gonna go with the first.
July 1st?
Yeah.
It's actually July the 2nd.
Ah,
It's my month anyway, so you wouldn't know that.
whatever. Your month sucks.
All right, Hurt.
Best one so far.
All right, still 1-1. Hurt.
Yes, go. What you got?
Who was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence? Was it John
James
Adams?
Madison.
What?
Hold on. Can I read the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
John Adams,
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, or John Hancock?
John Hancock.
What?
That is incorrect. It was Thomas Jefferson.
Uh,
All right.
yeah, I didn't like TJ and his 600 slaves anyway.
What?
All right. So Joyell, in 1778, in 1778, how did George Washington commemorate the 4th of July? A, the birth of his child. B, a double ration of rum. C, a day of fasting and prayer. Or D, he got married.
I can tell you what my answer would always be in this case. Well, go ahead.
I'm gonna say kid. The birth of a child.
The birth of his child is incorrect. It's actually a double ration of rum.
That should be the answer. That should always be the answer to every question.
It really should be. It really should be.
Yeah.
All right, Hurt. Who wrote the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner? I'm not even gonna.
Man.
Choice.
I believe it's Francis Scott Key.
I want that
That
question.
is correct. Yeah, there were a couple easy ones in here. All right.
Don't give me ones though.
Okay. The original American flag. On the original American flag, what shape were the 13 stars arranged in? Was it a rhombus, a square, a triangle, or a circle?
A circle. What was the first one you said?
The rhombus.
A rhombus.
The rhombus. That's hilarious. Rhombus?
Circle.
Correct. Circle is correct. It's tied 2-2. All right. Hurt.
Give him a hard one.
Which U.S. president first held the 4th of July celebration at the White House? Was it Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, James Madison, or John Adams?
James Madison.
It was Thomas Jefferson.
Damn, everything's TJ. See, I told you I'm like TJ.
Yeah.
All right, so it's still 2-2.
Wait, no, I got 3. It's 3-2.
You don't have 3. You
2.
have 2.
Wait, I got the circle.
Right.
And then what was the first question? I don't remember anymore.
Exactly.
Right?
That's 2.
I didn't get another one right.
No.
Okay.
All right. Here, this might be a tough one. How many hot dogs are consumed each 4th of July?
Oh, come on.
I can tell you how many Joey Chestnut had last year.
Come on. Every year.
Is it 100 million, 150 million, 50 million, or 200 million?
I say 100 million.
That is incorrect. It's actually 150 million hot dogs consumed. Close. All right, Hurt. On July, no, wait a minute. Okay, what was the first state to declare the 4th of July an official holiday? Was it Kentucky, Virginia, Massachusetts, or Maryland?
Massachusetts.
You are correct. Massachusetts.
Don't give me a hard one, Brian. Come on. Work with me.
All right. Let's see. What year were fireworks first used in an official 4th of July celebration? Was it 1922, 1777, 1876, or 1812?
I don't even make fireworks. 1812?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, finally the buzzer comes into play. 10 questions in.
Right.
We finally get the buzzer.
That was incorrect. 1777.
Really?
Oh, right the year after. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Hurt.
Yo.
Which two presidents died on 4th of July in the same year? Was it Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, Woodrow Wilson and Harry Truman, or George Washington and Quincy Adams?
TJ and John.
TJ and John Adams?
Yes.
That is correct.
I think there's a bias in these questions here that all the correct answers have Thomas Jefferson. Bias here. I think there's
No, that one I actually knew because I remember there was a film. It was a musical that they put on film. It was called 1776, and the guy who played, oh God, he was in where was he in? He was in Saint Elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
He played John Quincy Adams, and he was also the principal for Boy Meets World.
Oh,
I forgot, yeah. But he was in that movie, and that was one of my favorite movies. So yeah, that's why I know.
But I still there's a bias in the game that all
it's not no bias in the
well,
game.
If you didn't like that question, you're not gonna like this one, Joyell.
It's an easy one. I think.
How many founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence?
Boom.
Was it 56?
Actually, hold on, Brian. You know what, Brian? Actually, you know what? She's right. This is not fair to her. She was actually born. She was actually born in England. So you need to ask the reverse questions. You need to say you need to call them the revolutionaries in America.
I passed my citizenship test when I was 7.
So yeah, you have to ask it the other way from
the
British Empire version.
Oh my God.
British Empire version.
All right. Was it 56 founding fathers, 5, 27, or 13 who signed the Declaration of Independence?
So, oh my gosh.
So the question was, how many founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence? 56, 5, 27, or 13?
I would say 56.
That is correct.
Right.
3-3.
I have 4.
Going back to presidents.
I have 4.
4. Oh yeah, you do have 4. All right. Going back to presidents. You might hear a familiar name on this one, by the way. Which U.S. president was born on the 4th of July? Was it Bill Clinton, Calvin Coolidge, Teddy Roosevelt, or Thomas Jefferson?
Pick Thomas Jefferson.
Well, so their birthday would be today, which is weird. Give me the repeat the question, please.
Which U.S. president was born on the 4th of July?
Okay.
Clinton, Coolidge, Roosevelt, or Jefferson?
Definitely wasn't Clinton. Calvin Coolidge. I never liked his profile picture. And TJ and who's the other one?
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt and Thomas Jefferson.
I don't think it's Teddy. He can't have died and been born on the same day. I was gonna say Thomas Jefferson. Is it Roosevelt?
It's Calvin Coolidge, actually.
It is Calvin Coolidge.
It's the people you don't like. It's the people you don't like.
Yeah, it's always going to be the people I don't like. I knew I should have said have y'all seen his profile pictures?
Yes.
That dude looks spooky.
He does.
Yeah, he looks like a Sith Lord. That's what he looks like. Yeah, Senator Palpatine.
Sith Lord here. Darth Vader.
But go ahead.
Let's see. Which U.S. president signed the bill that made the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem? Was it Andrew Jackson, Woodrow Wilson?
Oh, that's my question.
Herbert Hoover, yes, or Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, this must be yours because Thomas Jefferson was one of the choices.
Read it again.
So the question is, which U.S. president signed the bill that made the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem? It was either Andrew Jackson, Woodrow Wilson, Herbert Hoover, or Abraham Lincoln.
Hoover, Abraham Lincoln. No, not Abraham. Hoover. I don't think it's Hoover. And the other two were
Jackson, Wilson, Hoover, or Lincoln.
Jackson. Not
I said,
Jackson.
we ain't got all day.
Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
It was actually Herbert Hoover.
Oh, Hoover Dam.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Running out of questions here, so
thank goodness.
Let's see. We have okay. All right, Hurt. What year did the 4th of July become a paid federal holiday? Was it 1870, 1938, 1791, or 1902?
1938.
That is correct. And I have one more question.
I don't like the odds. Not at all.
What institution first opened its doors on July 4th, 1802? Was it West Point, the New York Times, the IRS, or Major League Baseball?
Damn IRS.
What? Opened this door in 1802.
Yep.
Is it
Yep,
IRS?
on July 4th, yes.
On July 4th. So it's the IRS, MLB.
The New York Times or West Point?
I want to say West Point.
You are correct.
Yes.
Good
West
job.
Point. But unfortunately, that was the last question.
Mm.
So, Hurt, you are the winner, 5-4.
Well, yeah, it's a given. I don't lose on this podcast,
Whatever.
whether it comes to polls or questions.
I think it was rigged.
If we had a Maryland Terrapin contest, I would have won that too. It just doesn't matter.
No.
Honestly. I don't lose in anything.
No.
Yeah, no. Listen, if it's about the Bronx and the 5 trees,
The
the Bronx, I would have won that too. Listen, I know Fat Joe's from there. Listen, I could name a lot of Bronxvillians who are, famous and everything. That would have been all this would have been a no-brainer.
No.
Whatever contest you bring up.
You should do that. Do that. Have that. Have
Yeah.
the fact check. Nyack versus the Bronx.
Well, next, I mean, like, what kind of contest would you have? It wouldn't be fair to you guys. Like, seriously, Nyack versus the Bronx.
Yeah, Nyack versus the Bronx.
That's unfair to you guys.
It's not unfair. No, the Bronx is the greatest. So I mean, there's that. So.
You're not even the best borough.
We are the best borough.
How could you even compete?
What do you mean? We are the best
against that? How are you the best borough?
Because we are.
You're like behind.
Do you not see who comes from the Bronx? I mean, that alone right there.
Yeah, no. What, Pun? Big Pun?
Okay. KRS.
Okay.
A whole bunch of people. Who came
A whole bunch of people.
Who comes from Nyack?
Helen Keller. Does it even matter?
Did you say
The other
who?
thing, Helen Keller. There's so many
Helen Keller.
great things. Yes.
Helen
We
Keller.
also have what's my show on front? Blacklist is filmed in and around the area of wonderful Rockland County, and that they actually went past my high school on Christian Herald Road.
Oh.
What about your all-girls high school? Has that been filmed for something? No.
We don't need.
Right.
We don't need that kind of notoriety.
No, yeah, because you already made it notorious.
Whatever. Let me see. Where was she born?
Oh my gosh.
She born in-
All right, well, we're done. Anyway, because we're way over time. Got that. But thank you everybody for joining us here on the NYMD podcast. Enjoy your 4th of July. Of course, you can follow us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher apps, and of course, follow us on Facebook, on IG, and on the Twitter. And of course, like right now, we're here live on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube and subscribe to us, NY the MD podcast. And we appreciate it. Be safe. Don't eat too many hot dogs because it will cause indigestion. But everyone enjoy. Everyone enjoy and have a great time. And we will see you next week.
All right.
Happy 4th, y'all.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.